My name is Timothy Davies. For 15 years, I spearheaded the Midwest sales division for Willow Creek Press, a publishing house located in the vibrant city of Chicago. I single-handedly constructed that team from the ground up, transforming a struggling region into the company's top performer in terms of revenue generation. My approach wasn't reliant on sophisticated software or complex algorithms. Instead, I focused on cultivating strong relationships, building trust through personal interactions, and possessing an intuitive understanding of publishers' individual needs. By the previous year, my division accounted for an impressive 65% of the company's overall revenue. This significant contribution, however, seemed to go largely unnoticed at the executive level until the quarterly financial reports were released. When Ms. Evelyn Reed assumed the role of CEO 6 months prior, she brought with her a flurry of PowerPoint presentations and an entourage of highly paid consultants. Every meeting became dominated by discussions of digital transformation and the disruption of traditional publishing norms. Evelyn lacked any prior experience in the publishing world, having transitioned from a prominent technology firm based in Seattle. Despite this, the board was captivated by her futuristic vision. I diligently continued to deliver exceptional results, maintaining a low profile. However, I could sense her scrutiny during leadership meetings. As the most senior director, I stood out as the only one who still relied on a physical planner and prioritized in-person client visits over virtual meetings. The summons arrived on a Monday morning. Her assistant, Mark, appeared visibly uncomfortable as he knocked on my office door. He relayed the message that Evelyn wished to see me at 2 o'clock in the executive boardroom. After thanking him, I returned to my conversation with Cardinal Press, our most significant client, where we were finalizing a lucrative 7-year contract extension valued at $14 million, a testament to the strong relationship I had fostered with Mr. Arthur Cardinal over the course of a decade. Evelyn, Mark, and a representative from Human Resources whom I didn't recognize. I knew, even before she spoke, what the outcome would be. Timothy, Evelyn began, her hands clasped tightly on the table. Thank you for your considerable contributions to Willow Creek Press. However, we've decided to pursue a different leadership direction. I listened impassively as she elaborated on the perceived obsolescence of my methods, emphasizing the need for a leader more closely aligned with their digitally focused strategy. Though she carefully avoided explicitly stating it, the implication of seeking a younger candidate was clear. I expressed my gratitude for the opportunity, shook her hand, and departed without protest. 15 years of dedicated service culminated in a 15-minute meeting. What Evelyn failed to grasp was that in the publishing industry, particularly within the established houses that constituted 85% of our business, trust wasn't cultivated through algorithms or email marketing campaigns. I quietly cleared my desk while the rest of the team was at lunch. There were no farewells, no dramatic scenes, only quiet dignity. Upon reaching my car, however, I sat for an extended period, staring at my phone. 3 missed calls from Arthur Cardinal awaited me. He had already received news of my dismissal. I initially joined Willow Creek Press when it was still known as Heartland Literary Group. At that time, it was a small operation, comprising only 20 employees and a limited number of regional clients. I transitioned from Heritage Publishing after its acquisition by a prominent New York-based firm. I relinquished a corner office and a substantial 6-figure salary because I found the corporate approach to publishing profoundly disheartening. Mr. David Willow, the company's founder, personally hired me. "We don't need a numbers cruncher," he had stated. "We need someone who understands that books are still created by people who genuinely care about their content." During the first 5 years, I rebuilt the division from the ground up. My car accumulated 75,000 miles as I traveled across the states, visiting every independent publisher from Illinois to Montana. I knew their families, their spouses, children, and even extended family. I attended weddings, funerals, and retirement parties. This wasn't a strategic maneuver. It was simply a reflection of the close-knit culture we fostered. By the time David retired and his son Charles took the helm, we had achieved 400% growth. Charles understood the business, though his focus on numerical data differed from his father's emphasis on relationships. He allowed me the autonomy to manage the division according to my proven methods. 3 years prior, when the board initiated discussions regarding the recruitment of external leadership to modernize operations, Charles vehemently opposed the idea. However, following his untimely death from cancer at the age of 55, there was no one to defend the traditional approach. The cracks within the organization began to appear even before Evelyn's recruitment. Board meetings were marked by the recurring use of the term antiquated. Questions arose regarding our team's lack of social media engagement, and the absence of CRM optimization. My assistant director, Michael, whom I had been grooming as my successor, began receiving invitations to strategic meetings that excluded me. He would relay the information, uncomfortable in his new role as an intermediary. They're discussing restructuring, he had informed me 6 months earlier, hinting at the creation of a separate digital sales team. I should have recognized the warning signs, the subtle shifts indicating impending changes. I should have noticed the addition of 3 new digital engagement specialists to my team without consultation, the reassignment of my long-standing clients, without explanation, and Thomas Cardinal's personal call regarding the transfer of his account. Some young man called me today, Thomas had reported. He claimed to be my new account manager, and said they were streamlining their customer interface, or some such nonsense. "What's going on over there, Timothy?" Thomas asked. "Just some reorganization," I reassured him. "Nothing to worry about," but I was deeply concerned. I simply didn't understand the tactics being employed against me. The day following my dismissal, I sat in my home office, staring at my phone. 17 missed calls, 32 text messages, and 6 emails marked urgent filled my inbox, all from clients and industry contacts who had learned of my departure. I had yet to inform anyone, not even my wife, Sarah, who was visiting our daughter in Milwaukee. I needed time to process the situation alone. The call that finally prompted me to answer came from Arthur Cardinal. "What in the world happened?" he demanded, dispensing with pleasantries. "They're pursuing a new direction," I responded, echoing the corporate line. "Nonsense," Arthur retorted. "You are that company to many of us. Do they understand that?" I remained silent. "I met with that new fellow yesterday," he continued. "He spent 40 minutes showing me analytics and engagement metrics. Not once did he inquire about our new historical fiction imprint. The project I told you was crucial for our success this year." I closed my eyes, feeling a profound weariness that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. "They'll figure it out, Arthur," I offered. "No, they won't," he countered. "People like that never bother to learn what truly matters. They simply impose their system and expect everyone to adapt. 6 months' salary, health insurance for 90 days, a non-disparagement clause, and a non-compete agreement prohibiting me from working with any of our clients for a year." I almost laughed. They believed they could legally prevent decades-long relationships from continuing with a single document. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Eleanor Vance from Summit Press. Another major client, another long-standing friendship. "I heard what happened," she said when I answered. "It's their loss. When you're ready to discuss your next steps, call me." By evening, 12 major clients, representing over 45% of Willow Creek Press's annual revenue, had contacted me, expressing the same sentiment: loyalty to me, not to the company I had left. I sat in my backyard as the sun set, sipping bourbon, and contemplating an idea that had begun as a small seed that morning, but had grown with each conversation. They had dismissed me because my methods didn't align with their gleaming new digital strategy, because I prioritized relationships over data analysis, because my client files were filled with handwritten notes instead of CRM entries. But what if these outdated methods were precisely what my clients valued? What if Evelyn Reed's perception of my weakness was actually my greatest strength? I retrieved my phone and called my attorney, Robert Miller. "Robert, I need you to examine something for me. A non-compete clause." "They let you go?" he asked. Surprised. "They did, and I believe it might be the best thing that's ever happened to me." I didn't desire revenge. I simply wanted to continue doing what I had always done, helping publishers connect with the ideal partners. And if Willow Creek Press no longer valued that service, plenty of others did. That night, for the first time since the termination meeting, I slept soundly. 2 weeks after my dismissal, I met with Robert in his downtown office. He had reviewed my non-compete agreement, and had unexpected news. "It's essentially unenforceable," he stated, pushing the document across his desk. "They made a critical error. The scope is overly broad, the duration is excessive, and most importantly, they cannot prevent you from utilizing your general knowledge and skills within your industry." "So I could establish my own consulting firm?" I asked. "You could," Robert confirmed. "But there's a caveat. They will likely sue you if you attempt to do so. Even if they ultimately lose, the legal process could prove costly and protracted." I pondered this. Willow Creek Press possessed substantial financial resources, and a board that wouldn't hesitate to utilize them against a perceived threat. "What if I don't directly contact any clients?" I inquired. "What if I simply make myself available?" Robert smiled.
That's an entirely different scenario.
The following day, I filed the necessary paperwork to establish Davies Publishing Consultants. No website, no marketing materials, no outreach campaign. Simply a legal entity capable of accepting payments and providing services. 3 days later, Arthur Cardinal called. "I hear you've opened shop," he stated without preamble.
News travels fast in this business, I replied.
"Arthur, I need assistance with our winter catalog strategy. Willow Creek's new team is pushing us toward academic markets, but my intuition suggests we should focus on our historical series. I need someone who understands both the numbers and the readership. I'm still finalizing my next steps, Arthur." $15,000 for 2 months of strategic guidance, he countered. No direct competition with Willow Creek's services, simply assisting us in making sound decisions. It was a generous offer, carefully structured to avoid direct conflict with my non-compete. Nevertheless, I hesitated.
I need time to consider.
"Don't ponder too long," Arthur urged. "We're making decisions next week." Following the call, I received an unexpected call from Michael, my former assistant director.
Can we meet?
He asked, his voice hushed.
Not at the office, somewhere discreet.
We agreed on a quiet coffee shop near Lincoln Park, well away from the downtown area and the publishing hub.
Hat?
Michael appeared nervous upon arrival, constantly glancing over his shoulder. "It's dire," he said once we were seated.
They promoted me to your position, but I'm merely a figurehead.
The new digital team makes all the crucial decisions.
That's not surprising, I responded. No, you don't understand. They're systematically dismantling everything you built. They've reassigned all your major accounts to the digital team.
They're implementing a mandatory CRM system that none of the older sales representatives can navigate.
3 people have already resigned.
I took a sip of my coffee, maintaining a neutral expression. "And the clients?"
I asked.
Michael looked around again before leaning closer.
They're furious.
Summit Press is threatening to terminate their contract.
Arthur Cardinal hasn't returned calls in a week.
The quarterly projections are catastrophic. And Evelyn, she's blaming the transition, claiming it's expected turbulence. He hesitated.
But there's more. They're monitoring you.
Legal held a meeting about your non-compete yesterday. They're concerned you might poach clients. Now I understood his apprehension.
He was jeopardizing his new position to warn me.
"Thank you for informing me, Michael." He nodded, then slid an envelope across the table. An updated client contact list, complete with personal emails and cell phone numbers. He rose to leave. "I didn't give you this. And we never met today." After he departed, I sat for a considerable time, turning the envelope over in my hands. Utilizing this information would be precisely what Willow Creek feared and anticipated. It would justify legal action against me, and potentially against Michael. They had set a trap anticipating my next move, which meant I needed to devise a different strategy. I left the envelope on the table, untouched, when I left. Small independent publishers, university presses, and literary agents seeking guidance. Work that wouldn't trigger legal issues but would keep me engaged in the field I loved. Then came an unexpected invitation. Mr. Arthur Harding, chairman of Willow Creek Press's board, requested a private meeting, not at the office but at his exclusive club downtown. I accepted, more out of curiosity than anything else. The Chicago Gentlemen's Club was an atmosphere of hushed conversations and dark wood paneling. Arthur, a man of 70 with silver hair, waited in a private room with 2 glasses of scotch already poured. "Thank you for coming, Timothy," he said, gesturing toward the chair opposite his. "I imagine you're wondering why I requested this meeting." The thought had crossed my mind. He offered me one of the glasses. Things at Willow Creek aren't proceeding as anticipated. I took a small sip, remaining silent. "Revenue is down 35% this quarter," Arthur continued. "Client retention is at its lowest point in company history. The digital initiative intended to transform our business model has alienated our core client base." "That's unfortunate," I replied neutrally. Arthur scrutinized me. "You don't seem surprised. Publishing is, and always has been, a relationship business."
I'm learning that now.
He leaned forward. "The board is concerned about Evelyn's leadership. Her strategies may have worked in technology, but publishing operates differently."
Why are you telling me this? I asked.
"Because we would like you to return as chief revenue officer above Evelyn in the hierarchy." I stared at him, processing the offer.
What about my replacement?
"Michael is a capable man, but he lacks your client relationships and industry knowledge.
And Evelyn?
Would she accept this arrangement? Arthur's expression hardened. She would have no choice. The pieces suddenly clicked into place.
This isn't about this quarter's revenue, is it?
This has been brewing for much longer. Arthur sighed, his composure faltering. Evelyn was Charles's hire. His final major decision before his illness became unmanageable. The board had reservations, but we deferred to him out of respect. After he passed, we gave her the opportunity to prove herself. She hasn't.
And your termination wasn't approved by the board.
We were informed after the fact, as were several other significant organizational changes.
I leaned back, finally understanding the full picture.
Evelyn had been systematically removing Charles's loyalists, replacing them with her own people. My dismissal wasn't about digital transformation. It was about eliminating anyone loyal to the previous leadership.
The offer is generous.
Arthur continued. Double your previous salary, complete control of sales and client relationships, and the board's full support to rebuild your team. Vindication, power, security. I need time to consider, I said. Of course, he replied. But don't take too long. The situation is rapidly deteriorating. On the drive home, I mulled over the conversation. The board hadn't just realized they'd made a mistake with my termination. They'd known it was wrong from the outset, but lacked the courage to intervene. Now that it was impacting their bottom line, they suddenly wanted me back. And there was something else, something Arthur hadn't explicitly stated but that I understood nonetheless. They wanted me to be the executioner, to return and dismantle everything Evelyn had built, and eventually, Evelyn herself. They didn't want me for my relationship skills. They wanted me for my client list and the loyalty it entailed. This realization didn't anger me. It solidified my decision regarding my next steps. I declined Arthur's offer the following morning, with a brief, polite email. His response arrived within minutes, an offer to further increase the compensation package. I didn't reply. Instead, I made 3 phone calls. The first was to Arthur Cardinal. I was ready to discuss the consulting arrangement, but I proposed a different approach. I'm listening, he said. I won't consult exclusively for Cardinal Press. Instead, I'm forming a collective, a consortium of independent publishers who share resources, distribution channels, and market intelligence. No long-term contracts, no corporate bureaucracy, simply publishers assisting publishers with me facilitating the connections. There was a moment of silence. How many others have you approached? He asked. None yet. You're the first call, because I was your biggest client, I replied. Because I trust your judgment, I corrected. If you believe it's a viable model, I'll proceed. If not, I'll revert to traditional consulting. Arthur didn't hesitate. I'm in, and I know at least 5 others who would be as well. My second call was to Eleanor Vance at Summit Press. As I anticipated, she not only embraced the consortium idea, but suggested refinements to the structure, including a shared digital platform that would provide smaller publishers with the reach of a larger organization without compromising their independence. The third call was to Robert, my attorney, to ensure the plan wouldn't violate my non-compete agreement. You're not working for their clients, he confirmed after reviewing the details. You're creating an entirely new entity that their clients choose to join. It's a subtle distinction, but a legally significant one. Within 2 weeks, the Davies Publishing Consortium boasted 7 founding members, all former Willow Creek clients who had either already departed or planned to do so upon the expiration of their contracts. Each contributed to an operational fund that would cover my salary and essential infrastructure. The key to the plan wasn't merely creating a competing organization. It was establishing something Willow Creek couldn't easily replicate. A cooperative structure where publishers retained their independence while benefiting from collective resources. A recent college graduate to manage communications and social media, and a veteran publishing operations manager who had recently retired but wasn't ready to fully leave the industry. Word spread swiftly through the close-knit publishing community. By the end of the first month, 3 more publishers had joined the consortium. By the end of the second, we needed to relocate to larger premises. I was meticulous in avoiding the direct solicitation of Willow Creek's clients. I didn't need to. They came to us drawn by the success stories they heard and the frustrations they experienced with the digitally focused approach that disregarded the personal relationships at the heart of publishing. Michael called one evening in late September, 2 months after our launch. They know what you're doing, he stated without preamble. Evelyn is furious. She's considering legal action. We haven't violated any agreements, I replied calmly. That won't stop her from trying. He paused. There's a board meeting tomorrow, quarterly results, it's going to be ugly. That's no longer my concern, Michael. I know. He hesitated. But I thought you should know and I wanted to ask. Is there room for one more at your new venture? I've reached my breaking point here. I smiled to myself. Everything was unfolding precisely as I had anticipated, not out of a desire for revenge, but because I understood the industry in a way Evelyn never would. Stop by the office tomorrow, I told him. We'll talk. Evelyn blaming market disruption and transitional challenges, with no mention of the fact that their largest clients had abandoned ship. Later that afternoon, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Is this Timothy Davies? A woman's voice asked. Speaking. This is Patricia Miller from the Willow Creek Board of Directors. Her tone was curt and formal. I'm calling to inform you that we've voted to waive your non-compete agreement, effective immediately. We've also instructed our legal team to prepare a cease and desist letter regarding what we consider tortious interference with our client relationships. I waited, letting the silence hang in the air. Do you have any response, Mr. Davies? Just one question. I finally said. Have you spoken with your clients directly, not through account managers or satisfaction surveys? Actually sat down with Arthur Cardinal, or Eleanor Vance, and asked why they left. That's not relevant too. It's the only thing that's relevant, I interrupted. They didn't leave because I started something new. They left because Willow Creek stopped valuing what mattered to them. The board meeting is still in session, she said after a moment. Perhaps you'd care to join us and explain your perspective directly. I appreciate the invitation, but I'm in the midst of my own meeting, with 15 publishers who have chosen a different path. She was silent for so long, I thought the call had dropped. I see. She finally said, and hung up. The cease and desist letter never arrived. 3 days later, the business section of the Chicago Tribune ran the headline. Willow Creek CEO steps down amidst financial turmoil. 6 months after launching the Davies Publishing Consortium, we moved into permanent offices in a renovated warehouse in Lincoln Park. 23 member publishers, with a waiting list of others eager to join, were now part of the consortium. We had expanded beyond Illinois to include small and mid-sized publishers throughout the Midwest. The industry had taken notice. We had been featured in Publishers Weekly in the New York Times business section. The relationship revolution in publishing, one headline proclaimed. I hadn't set out to create a movement. I simply sought to preserve what I knew worked. But sometimes the old ways become revolutionary when people remember why they mattered in the first place. Arthur Harding called on a Tuesday morning. Willow Creek had a new CEO, promoted from within, someone who had been with the company for decades. We'd like to discuss the possibility of Willow Creek joining your consortium, he stated without preamble. I smiled to myself. That's not how it works, Arthur. We're not acquiring members of your size. Perhaps a partnership arrangement then. I'll bring it to our leadership council, I told him, though I already knew the answer. The publishers who joined us had done so precisely to escape the corporate approach that Willow Creek represented. After hanging up, I walked through our open office space. No executive suite for me, just a desk among the others, where I could participate in the daily conversations that kept us connected to what mattered. Michael looked up from his workstation. Everything all right? Just fine. I nodded. Willow Creek wants to join the consortium. He laughed. Talk about coming full circle. People trusting people who have earned that trust. Sometimes, getting fired is the best thing that can happen to you. Not because it leads to revenge, but because it compels you to create something more authentic than what you left behind.